You're listening to the Major Pod Network, the only place where your favorite toy store, card shop, arcade, theme park, and arena are all on the same block. Scratch that major itch.
This is Tony Chimmel, and I'd like to introduce the hosts of the Game Marks podcast, George Feis and Johnny Clash.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast presented by the Major Pod Network. I am Mr. Anything is Feasible, George Feis.
And I'm the man they call Johnny Clash, and today we are playing Super Fire Pro Wrestling Special. How's this game going to hold up? Is it going to get a play it forever? Woo! Or a future endeavor? You're fired! We also launched Gameboree 2022, and we discuss all of the prizes and the events.
And of course, do not forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review for this podcast on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And follow us along on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod. And check out all of the exclusive content we are creating for our Patreon at patreon.com/GameMarksPod. Now, John, usually this is the part where I go, hey, John, how are you? Let's talk about what we did last week. I'm flipping some things around right now because I am very excited. Because something that we have been promoting for the last couple of months has finally happened. Ladies and gentlemen, we have hit over 1,000 Twitter followers, which means we can finally do the video game history of Mick Foley, Mankind, Cactus Jack, and Dude Love. I'm very, very excited. Oh, I can't wait to do this. Oh, great. So good.
We've been waiting for this one for a while. We haven't had one of these retrospects in a while, and I think this is the best person we can do. And I'm going to say right now, this episode is going to come out January 2nd. We're going to start 2023 with a bang bang. They take a little while to to put together the graphics and the complete history, so bear with us. At least we're giving you a date this time, unlike Road Warriors that took a little while to set up. Mostly this date is for me, so I stay on track and I get the notes done.
It always seems to kind of fall in line around this time, right? Where, like, I feel like Road Warriors, we also kind of unlocked around the holidays, where it's just like, oh, we unlocked the Road Warriors. That's great. And then it's like the holiday season. It's like now no one has time to do any of these things. So then you're like, beginning of next year, these things have to come out. Which, honestly, if this is how this ends up working out, where, you know, the yearly campaign is for us to unlock a video. It happens towards the end of the year, and then we start off the next year with the next campaign and the video game history video. I think that is pretty good.
I think my favorite part that I can't wait for is who to reveal who we're doing next, which me and you haven't even discussed, but I have some ideas I could run by you.
I also got some ideas.
All right. We're all right. But okay, now let's backtrack. We played SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 last week. I think it's a crowd pleaser. It's a fan favorite. We got a lot of comments about the PSP version. Some people saying it was good, but it wasn't up to par. It wasn't the same quality, which we know. We got some people saying this was the best SmackDown vs. Raw game. I could argue that maybe we go to like 10 and 11. We're getting a little better, but I see what you're saying. And some people remembered the mini games, like the Eugene mini game and all that.
So I mean, we talked about it last week. I got to go back and play all those mini games. I'm very excited to do that. And I think we had even mentioned that when we said that we were going to go back and play the PSP version, we're going to do like one match and then all of the video games, because that's like mini video games. Should call them video games.
The little minios. Don't give Nintendo any ideas.
Well, we will go back and play all of the mini games in the PSP version of SmackDown vs. Raw 2006.
So I feel like, from all the comments, from my personal perspective as well, you can't have the PSP version and the PS2 version and expect them to be the same. I feel like you get the PSP version if for some reason you couldn't get that version and you want something like it. Like maybe you don't have a PS2 for whatever reason. Maybe you're a GameCube or an Xbox guy and you're like, this is my chance to get SmackDown, because we know they're not going to be the same at all.
But we've kind of already learned that with everything that we've discovered by playing, when we had Game Boy month. But
PSP is so much different than a Game Boy. You're getting the exact port. It's just going to be dumbed down. You're not getting like a whole new game on a different.
But that's
console.
what people expected that the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance versions of things were going to be. They were just like, I expect the same thing, and it's just like you maybe need to adjust your expectations, because at a certain point, there's just only a certain amount of things that are able to be done on a smaller piece of hardware. And yes, to be fair, the ports from the newer consoles to, I would say, what do you say, PSP, Vita, maybe the DS?
Yeah, DS to an extent. You could even put the Switch somewhat in that category.
Yeah, I mean, the Switch is both.
The new thing,
it's like handheld and a TV, like a full-fledged TV console at the same time. Yeah. But like newer consoles, there's a different level of expectation. But I feel like for the longest time, at least our generation was like, Attitude on the N64 is going to be the same version of Attitude that you get on the Game Boy. And it's just
definitely not.
No.
Yeah, no. But okay, George, we got some important stuff to talk about here.
I want a real drum roll in the background of this, John.
How about a little drummer boy drum roll?
Love it.
Gameboree is back. Now, if you don't know what Gameboree is our chance every year to give back for the holiday season. We partnered with Retromania Wrestling, the Secret Levels podcast, Zavi, and Best Batch Promotions to bring one of the biggest events yet. George, tell us how to donate.
Guys, if you want to be a part of Gameboree 2022, all you have to do is head on over to GameMarksPod.com/donate, and you will find our GoFundMe link. And we have got prizes from all of the top donors, and we will be giving out extra prizes during our live stream later this month.
Last year we broke $3,300, and we hope to do even more this year. We're already off to a good start. We're almost at 900 one weekend. At this point of recording, we're only 3.5 days in, and we're almost at $900. So we are on a good track because we have 2 months of this. We're going to announce the events and all that at a later date because, logistics and whatnot, and we have to figure some stuff out and when we're going to do them. What
happens when we hit $5,000, John?
We're getting matching Game Marks tattoos. We're going to do something different that we've been discussing, and that's a live episode recording. So as we're doing right now, sitting here on our computers, recording an episode, we're going to do it live. You guys could watch in as a listener, as an audience member. But if you've ever been a part of our Twitch streams, there's little perks that you could do where it's take a drink of water, stretch. It's going to be stuff like that, but it's going to be, you have to buy it. You have to donate, say $1 and it'd be like, take a drink of water. $10, take a shot of whiskey. Just saying something like that. And hopefully we could raise it even more with that. So that should be a fun time.
And obviously we will figure out and work out more things to sweeten the pot during that live stream episode to make it a little bit more chaotic of a regular recording session, and obviously give you guys some extra entertainment along the way. Maybe there'll be like a dance break or a random wrestling trivia fact that one of us just randomly have to blurt out that maybe everyone else doesn't know.
Someone suggested talking in like a Macho or Hogan voice for 5 minutes straight.
Ooh, I like that.
We'll have to get some lozenges.
Oh, yeah.
Now, my idea is we have Smack Talk Showdown, the board game. I think we should have some cards on deck. If someone donates a certain amount, we whip out the card and we have the promo right out there on the spot.
I like that. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, so we could do cool stuff like that. It's going to be fun.
All right. It's the best time of year, guys. Gameboree is upon us. Again, make sure to head on over to GameMarksPod.com/donate to find out how you can do your part. And it is everyone's chance to stand up, do some good, and make a difference.
He loves that catchphrase. But George, is it time? Are we ready? Are we taking the plunge into yet another Fire Pro game? We're going way back to 94.
We have barely scratched the surface of Fire Pro games, and yet here we are, diving into yet another one. I feel like the list is ever growing. But yeah, John, let's go.
Scratch this surface. Hey, George. You see this light here that says Game Over that I point to at the end of every single episode, like Ronda Rousey pointing to that WrestleMania sign?
I do.
Do you know where I got it?
Why don't you tell me?
I got it from Zavvi. That's us.zavvi.com, Z-A-V-V-I, and they literally have everything. I have spent hours on this website looking up Mandalorian, Jurassic Park, Harry Potter, like everything you could imagine. There's Legos, Power Rangers. You could pre-order the new Marvel Legends. It's an insane website that has literally everything pop culture. There's even Batman shoes on here.
I mean, I know for me, a little like adult Zen garden project that I like to do is like the smaller Lego sets, and Zavvi has a lot of those Lego sets on there and getting kind of itchy. So if you like all things pop culture, like John said, Disney, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Harry Potter, Nintendo, they're even getting into the wrestling game now.
Oh yeah.
Zavvi is the place for you.
That's right. Use code GameMarks, simply just GameMarks, at checkout, and you can get 10% off.
I'm going to redo my wardrobe. All right, Super Fire Pro Wrestling special release December 22nd, 1994 for the Super Famicom, published and developed by Human Entertainment and the other games that are out in 1994. Let's talk about this. Ready?
Stacked.
All Japan Pro Wrestling Jet for the Game Boy. Fire Pro Women All-Star Dream Slam for the SNES. New Japan Pro Wrestling 94 for the SNES. New Japan Pro Wrestling Battlefield in Tokyo Dome for the Super Famicom and the TurboGrafx CD. WCW the main event for the Game Boy. WCW Super Brawl for the SNES, WWF Raw for the SNES and Sega, and Fire Pro Gaiden Blazing Tornado for the arcade and the Saturn.
We actually played a lot of these already, which is crazy. I can't even think of the last New Japan Pro Wrestling game we played for Super Famicom. That those were a lot of fun. We gotta find another one of those to do.
Oh yeah, there's much like the Fire Pro Wrestling game, the New Japan Pro Wrestling list is equally as long. Don't you worry, John.
I believe it. This is actually the fourth game in the Super Fire Pro Wrestling series and the ninth game overall. And the next one coming up is Super Fire Pro Wrestling Queen Special. I think we played that one, right? Queen Special?
Queen Special, it does sound familiar.
Sounds familiar, right? I think I like that one.
I don't know if we've just talked about playing it a lot or if it's actually available. Let me look it up for you.
Check the list. But Super Fire Pro Wrestling came out in 91, followed by Super Fire Pro Wrestling 2 in 92. Guess what came in 1993? Super Fire Pro Wrestling 3.
I would say blow my mind right now.
But it wasn't the final bout because then this one came special. That is it. Now, it's well known for being the first game written by Geicho Suda, better known as Suda51, who is the current CEO of Grasshopper Manufacturer. You might know him because he's worked on these all the way up through Fire Pro Wrestling World. So he's very well known in the video game industry. He works on a lot of Nintendo games, Switch games, and we're going to get more into what he's really known for in this game specifically a little later. Now, the story, especially the ending here, is considered to be one of the most controversial endings to any video game ever, including today. People still talk about it today, and it was never released outside of Japan, of course, because most of these, up until Returns, haven't been?
Yeah, there were like ports under other names, but not official releases. And update on the Queen Special. So this is where I get confused. There is Super Fire Pro Wrestling Queen Special, which you were correct, we did play. But the one that is always popping up on the list is All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling Queen of Queens, which is the other one that we have to play. Because we
Kevin James in that one?
What'd you say?
Is Kevin James in that one?
Yes. All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling Queen Legend Dream Battle we played. And according to our list, John, we only have 4 All Japan Wrestling games left. Ooh. We are winding those down.
Queen of Queens. It's just centered around Carrie and Deacon's wife. What's her name? Kelly?
Yeah. And
Doug and... Yeah.
Yeah. And Jerry Stiller is the unlockable wrestler.
Yeah. Now, the whole premise of this game, you're taking on the role of a fictional wrestler. And just like most games, you're kind of going to bring them to the top. But this one involves a little bit more story, I guess. Champion Roads are known for having those like cutscenes in between matches where that's how the story progresses. Even today, this is the same way they do it in Fire Pro World. And even Retro Mania Wrestling does it the same exact way. So it's just kind of an easy way to progress a story without putting too much 3D animations into it. But I think this one... it makes you feel some feels. I'm just going to say that. We'll get to it. We'll get to it after we talk about the game modes here.
So your game modes, you've got your one night match, which is a one night, which is called, which pretty much it's just your exhibition, John. Sure. Then you've got your battle royal mode, and then there is the gruesome fight mode, which John and I have been known to play a match or two. But the only way that you can play that is by completing Champion Road. You also have edit mode, tournament, the open league, which you earn points-based. It's a points-based tournament where players compete for the highest ranking, and of course, like John said, Champion Road.
Now, I want to talk about the gruesome fight for a second, because not only the octagon and the gruesome fight, but this game in general, and I think this says something about Super Famicom and Super Nintendo games, they're all probably the prettiest games of any console. There's nothing dark. Everything's colorful and bright. They all look so great. I mean, Nintendo left a little to be desired because, the color palette was a little less. But once you get to Super Famicom, Super Nintendo, this is some of the best stuff.
Super Nintendo and the Nintendo 64 are two of, if not my favorite consoles of all time.
I'm not going to put Nintendo 64 in the pretty category, though, because some of that stuff, go back to Mario Golf we played a couple weeks ago, is hideous.
Okay, but at the time, though, it was like, holy crap, this is so cool. Everything is like 3D and stuff. And like, there are certain games where like they do it well, like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. Like, those games still fall in the category of like, they're not considered maybe today to be beautiful games, but like at the time they like the worlds were very immersive and it was such like a different play style. But I'm gonna say 3 words: Spyro the Dragon. Okay. Well,
to me that game was mind-blowing as a kid. How pretty it was.
No argument here.
Duke Nukem Time to Kill, like it was all dark and dreary, and like even some games like Tony Hawk's, the background was black until you got closer to it and then it showed up. But Spyro the Dragon was like incredible for the time.
Did you ever play
digressing? That's okay.
So Tomba,
yeah. I played Tomba once in one of these Fire Pro games or something, and you got mad at me.
Wait, why did I get mad at you?
Because I said the art style looked like Tomba, and you got mad. I don't remember what it was.
Oh, no. It was when it was the logo for... oh, God. What company is the logo with the little lizard, with the little, like, dragon?
Was that Cutie Suzuki?
Oh, God, that's going to drive me nuts. I can't remember what company the little logo is, the dragon or the dinosaur. But
yeah, it's Asmic. It's Cutie Suzuki.
Oh, it's Asmic Entertainment. But the art style for Tomba, again, very bright, very colorful. That's another game that like they kind of took that side-scrolling style and went, hey, what if we made it. I mean, you're making a very convincing point here that I was wrong about the N64 and I should replace it with the PlayStation.
No, I mean, it was also groundbreaking as a console in general.
I know, but you're making a very valid point
preference.
for the brightness and how it was done. It may be top 3 for me now.
It's per game.
Per game, yes.
But okay, let's talk about this story mode that got a lot of people talking back in 94 because it was something you didn't really get very often, but it was coming up with a lot of pop culture stuff that we'll talk about at the end here. So the single player story, it's a rookie wrestler named Mario Smith, and he's working his way up through the ranks. Now, during this, he falls in love with the sister of a wrestler named Akira Saiha, based on Akira Maeda. Now, during a match, Mario accidentally kills his best friend. So there's not many wrestling games where you're getting... there's, what's his name, Suicide in the TNA game, but he gets his face reconstructed and he's back. So that's whatever. That's not a big deal. He's not dead. Before the final battle with the champion, who is based off Ric Flair, and I think we've had this in another game because I remember laughing at this, but his name is Dick Slender. The player's girlfriend leaves him, so Mario's girlfriend leaves him in the game. Now, at the end of this, Slender kills your tag team partner. And he confesses to killing your trainer before the fight as well. So there's just murder going on in wrestling at the time. So now you win. You're the champion. But you won the belt, but you didn't fight off depression. So now nobody's left. There's nowhere left to climb. 3 days later, after winning the title, your player commits suicide. That's how the game ends. Now, you could see why this was kind of controversial at the time.
It's a video game. There's no happy ending.
Right. So when they asked Suda51, he said he always wanted to push the gaming envelope, and he cited the death of Kurt Cobain, because that happened in 94, and the Von Erich family, specifically Kerry Von Erich, as the inspiration behind this. Now, he admitted the reasoning for doing this and not giving a happy ending is because there's an overly positive atmosphere of pro wrestling that is shown in video games, but he wanted to show the other side of it. But it's still a video game that most likely kids are buying. And it's very odd. I don't know.
And I don't necessarily understand the rating system for these games back then. I don't think there really was.
Yeah, it seems like the gloves were off there.
But yeah, it's...
I don't know. Weird way to end a video game. Like I don't know. Hey, I guess, like I said, like with the times, like Kurt Cobain, Kerry Von Erich, all that.
I was going to kind of build on what you were saying and just say sign of the times also with, what people could get away with in video games. I mean...
But hey, this guy worked all the way up to Fire Pro Wrestling World, so he's obviously one of the best story developers of this series, and he even gets a special shout out in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. And when asked why, it's because some of his audio was used by some of his technicians, and he had to just pretty much give them permission and said, "Yes, here you go." So they gave him a little shout.
What a strange story for a Fire Pro game.
Strange story. Now, usually when we have a Fire Pro game, we're at the 21-minute mark. We were going to take until the 35-minute mark-ish to read the roster. We're not doing that this time. There's 155 wrestlers in here. They're all based on real-life counterparts.
Very much so.
We could read the factions. How about that?
Okay.
All right. You want me to take it? I'll take it.
Sure.
So you got the HWA, which is your default faction, which is your bread and butter, where everything takes place. View Japan, Olive Japan. I love Japan too. Independence, RYU, WWC, UWH, View Japan Dojo, U, Higher Class, and Gongs, which is
I would like to make us a Olive Garden logo parody shirt that says Olive Wrestling.
You do that. I'm sure Nick Stapp would probably be the only one to wear that.
Hey, you know what? I'm all for it.
But okay, let's talk about the artwork here. Fire Pro Wrestling is known for having some pretty good artwork, and this one is right on par with the rest. From Super Fire Pro 1 and 2 to now Super Fire Pro Special, it doesn't really change much. There's less real licensed photos in this one. It's more artistic, and it's of who I'm going to assume is Mario, the main character of Champion Road. And it's a very well, I think, illustrated photo. I like it. It's comic book-ish with the shading around it. Shows a wrestling ring. What more do you want?
Yeah, it's very, very much in line with the other Fire Pro Wrestling covers that we've seen in the past. That artistic style that you talked about. Yeah, it's exactly what you expect from Fire Pro Wrestling game at this time, and I think that this style is always a cool. I don't necessarily know, like, it's a cool homage to like the manga style of the game, and like the popular manga at the time, and like even within the game itself, like as you go through the story, we're going to talk about the art style a little bit. Like even some of the cutscenes have that kind of like manga-esque style to them, so you definitely get some of that on the cover as well.
Yeah, and I kind of like how everything does revolve around this character. So when you load up into the main menu, the first thing you're going to see is an animation of Mario, who you don't know yet, is walking to the ring, taking off his jacket, making his entrance. So I think that's pretty cool that it gives you something to like at least follow along with the whole time.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the actual art style, because we know Fire Pro has its own way of doing things where a lot of it looks similar. And this is no different. You got the 3/4 turned ring. I had pointed out during our playthrough that the timer is a digital scoreboard in the crowd, and how you will never see that in a wrestling arena ever. I guess there's some high school gyms, but I don't know if they'll use a scoreboard. But I love how it's out of the way on the screen. It's not taking up any time. The announcers are off into the distance. They get these little icons that pop up to show their mood with them calling the action. But
everything about it's great. The only thing I don't like, and I pointed this out in our gameplay too, is that the perspective of how the clock is lined up with the railing, it's off. And I was just like, but the railing is so perfect. Why would you not just fix that and make that the right way too?
But like we said earlier, very colorful, very bright. You get different arenas for different, what do you call it, stables, affiliations, and whatnot. The refs pretty much look the same all throughout Fire Pro up until now. And yeah, a lot of the animations that are used in this are also used in Fire Pro Wrestling World to this day. It's kind of like the AKI series, how we watched it grow into Day of Reckoning 2 and Def Jam. We were seeing the same animations as World Tour.
You know, I will say this. The animations for the moves in this game this is the first time that I think I've ever like thought this during a playthrough of a Fire Pro game, but I think some of the animations and some of like the submission holds and the taunts and like the starting like entrance portion of the match, this is the first time that it's ever felt like a little cartoony. Which is very strange considering the topic that is covered in the storyline of the game. But like the poses that you're striking when you're in a submission hold, and like the expressions on your character's face, like it feels like more cartoonish and animated than it has in other Fire Pro Wrestling games.
Yeah, I guess that's what you get in '94. I know Thunder Pro Wrestling Retsuden around this time, I think a few years earlier, was very similar also, but my God, the likenesses to the characters in this game are... There's no way they'd be able to get away with this today without getting a cease and desist there. You see them now in Fire Pro Returns and all that. There's at least something there differentiating them, whether it's a design or not. There's full-blown Macho Man, the Road Warriors, Sting. Everybody here looks exactly like them. And when you go through the roster, I think it's pretty cool that the main picture you see is like a cool graphic depicting who it is. Like the Undertaker, him looking stoic in the coat, and it looks exactly as if you were playing WWF Raw. But then it also shows you this is what it actually looks like as a character sprite, which, you know, looks similar, but it's not as much what it what it could be.
Yeah, it's like a dumbed down version of it. Like it's like, hey, this is
which
the likeness, so you know exactly who you're playing as. But then also when you change the character, it's like, hey, this is so you can see exactly what your sprite's going to look like in the match.
Yeah, which is cool. I think there was another game that did that in this series that we played somewhat recently, but we play a million games, and I don't know what it was.
Yeah, at this point, John, it's hard. We've approached the level of doing this podcast where it's very hard for you to be like, you remember that game that we played?
Yeah.
Like we've played so many games. A game that we have talked about consistently since we've played it, I forgot was the game that had the Asmic Dragon on it. We have talked about
I have a
Suzuki
t-shirt of that game.
I would say at least every 3 months that game comes up. And we have played so many other games that I forgot that was the one with the Asmic Dragon logo on it. Dinosaur, whatever it is.
Yeah, well, this is episode 169, and I'd say at least like 145 of those was a different game. So, yeah, we're getting up there. But okay, these cutscenes I want to talk about now. Because for the Super Famicom, these are so detailed and so nice that they're almost like watching humans wrestle. Like, I'm going to use the Power Ranger game for Sega as an example. How you had the FMVs in between, like the animations on the screen that were actual clips from the show, but they're pixelated because they're whatever the console's capable of doing. These almost look like that, but they're made-up characters, so it's really cool. And you get to actually like dive into Mario and his characters and his opponents. You see like, what's his name? Slender Dick? Ric Flair's guy? I don't remember. Dick Slender. And you see like your house
Slender
with like
Dick sounds like the
your nickname
worst,
from college.
The worst like antagonist of a horror game ever. Like, what? Forget Slender Man. Here comes Slender Dick.
That is definitely a 99-cent game on Steam somewhere.
100%.
Oh, but it's cool. You
Don't
see
Google
your
it.
House with the Corvette and stuff. It really depicts like this guy's got a perfect life, and then the game comes crashing down on you and tugs you at the heart. You know,
I just can't believe that this is the storyline for this game. It's such a very. I mean, I appreciate the fact that Suda wanted to.
He's bringing something to light that people go through.
Yes, exactly, and that's very important to make sure that everyone understands that it's not an easy business to be in. But man,
hey, controversy creates cash, isn't that what they say?
Yep.
So people are still talking about this game today. I actually read an interview with him earlier where he mentioned, oh shit, I'm watching the Islander game on the other screen. The ref just got trampled. He is down.
Oh shit.
It's Red Shoes. He said that he would love to get this game on Steam, which would be interesting.
Interesting.
With the revival of some Super Famicom games.
I mean, there's a lot of these retro wrestling games that are popping up on in a lot of places that people don't expect. I think Boppin' Wrestle's on Steam.
Yeah, and Switch.
Natsumi's right? on the Switch.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know. There's some cult followings for all these. Anyway, did you know? Did you know Goichi Suda is best known for his work in Fire Pro Wrestling, No More Heroes for the Switch, as well as a special thank you in Super Smash Bros. Brawl?
Did you know Super Fire Pro Wrestling Special is available on eBay between $9.99 and $19.99 with copies new in package going for $200.
Now, I looked at those copies. It says Complete Collection S or something like that. I couldn't tell if it was the full collection, but it was a square-shaped box. It didn't look like it held more than one disc, and it had this artwork on it. So I think it might just be a different version of that artwork, of like the packaging for this game. I don't really know how they published it back then, because, you know, we were young and not in Japan. But,
what?
It's very hard to research some of this stuff, but
I believe it. I 100% believe it. I see you go through the struggles each and every week that we do this, and you're just like, the worst is when it gets to a point that you're just like, George, I can't.
There's some bad ones.
There's just too many blanks. We're just gonna talk about the game while we're playing it. Like, okay, whatever we got to do.
Hey, whatever makes it work there. But okay, it's now time for some R&R, some ratings and reviews.
I'm sure there's plenty this week.
So we got the game FAQ user rating since it's a Japanese port, and the average overall rating is good, which is 3.5 out of 5 stars out of 22 ratings. The difficulty is 3 out of 5, considered just right, and the length played is 32 hours average. If you're a Fire Pro Wrestling fan, and we know Fire Pro has a cult-like following, it's very, you either love it or hate it. Listen, we all know who we're talking to here. I was one of them that hated it. Now I love it. This one feels right at home with the rest of them. It feels like you're riding a bike. Like we always say when we play something in the AKI series or Fire Pro Wrestling, this is no different. We're going back to 94, and it's the same controls as Fire Pro Wrestling World, which came out, 2017-ish?
Yeah,
give or take.
18 or 19, something like that.
Yeah, so good on them for not changing much. You want to do a finisher, you're going to press the 2 buttons down at the same time. It's going to work the same way in any of the games. So I like that. There's some stuff you wish they had. The intros are a little short. You could have the entrances, but beggars can't be choosers here. And yeah, it's a good Fire Pro game.
I mean, we've talked about this consistently throughout the entire series of just like, hey, there's a reason that this series has been around for so long. And the main reason is the fact that if you've consistently played the series, it's pretty much exactly what we talked about with SmackDown vs. Raw last week, where it was just like, if you find that you like the series and you enjoy how the game plays and how it works, great. You're going to love what we continue to do as this series develops. And that's exactly what they did throughout the entire SmackDown vs. Raw series. And even longer and arguably more impressive, what they've done throughout the legacy of Fire Pro Wrestling is that they were just like, they're rewarding their fan base by going, thank you for being so loyal to us. We're not going to change the existing style that you've come to know and love. We're just going to keep adding more stuff so that you love it more. Bigger rosters, more match types, more in-depth stories. Like it's crazy. It's crazy to see how far it's come, and to think that we still, I mentioned it earlier in the episode, but we still have so much more to play.
At least we've been spreading them out nicely.
Yes.
We haven't been stacking them on top of each other. But all right, with that, it's now the most important time of the entire episode. It's time to rate the game.
The game!
All right, Johnny Clash, Super Fire Pro Wrestling
Brock Nelson
Special.
scored, sorry.
Will you play it forever? Woo! Or future endeavor?
You're fired!
Play it forever. I'm no longer surprised when I play the older Fire Pro games. To an extent, I kind of like them a little bit more. And kind of goes to what I said earlier about the art style of this, how just pretty this game is. It makes it a little bit more enjoyable, especially with the likenesses of the wrestlers who aren't really those wrestlers. It just makes it a little more authentic to a game that's not authentic.
Woo!
If you get,
All right.
if you pick up what I'm putting down.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
now,
yeah.
George, what about you? Will you play it forever or future endeavor?
This is a big play it forever from me, for the same exact reasons. It's a good time. Game looks great. The animations are great. The animations, at one point in the playthrough video, which you can go watch on our YouTube, I play as Stan Hansen, and I hit a power bomb on, who are you?
Scott
You were
Steiner.
Scott Steiner. And it's a better powerbomb animation than some recent retro games have. Like, I'm shocked of how good some of the animations for these moves are in the Fire Pro Wrestling game series. Again, we talked about the consistency. This is no different.
Yeah. Another double play it forever.
Say the word.
Double piff.
Thank you.
We like it. We love it. But okay, it's now time for the soft lock question.
All right, so the Soft Lock is a segment on our podcast where members of our Patreon community suggest a topic that they would like John and I to discuss. And today is a very special Soft Lock because we have not one, but two Soft Lock questions this week. The first one comes from the man himself, the owner of Best Batch Promotions.
Our best bitch.
The best bitch, the Elder Spork. You love him. And here we go. His question is, Thanksgiving is about side dishes, which is a hot take in and of itself. I can't wait to ask Dylan Postle that exact same question. What is your favorite, quote-unquote, side dish game, a.k.a. your favorite spinoff from a main franchise?
Okay, I think I know mine. Now, a game I played the hell out of, and something I'm surprised I haven't gone back and played since because I loved it so much, Wario World for the Game Boy.
Ooh.
I feel like
Have you ever played Smooth Moves, WarioWare Smooth Moves for like the Wii?
No, I wasn't big on the Wii. I had it and I played like Wii Sports and that was really it.
As a game, if you like the Wii Sports, I think you need to look up that game. And there's another one. They made like a new version of it for the Switch. It is ridiculous, and it's amazing in all of the. It's like, what if Mario or Wii Sports was chaos, and it was just like, well, the motion that you would use to do like any kind of mini game in Mario Party is just now you're like shaking a bottle of champagne, and who can open the most bottles of champagne in 30 seconds? Like, it's just chaos.
That does kind of sound familiar, but that would be fun. But I'm definitely going with Wario World here. It was one of my favorites. I feel like Wario was a newer character, and I just loved him right away. Honorable mention to Pokemon Pinball. I think that counts.
Ooh. You brought up Wario, and it made me think.
You're going Luigi's Mansion.
No. Oh. I'm going Donkey Kong Country.
That counts.
So do you know how the lineage of Donkey Kong works?
Yeah, he was the guy throwing the barrels at Mario.
Yes, but
I had that.
So you know Donkey Kong Country.
Yep.
You know Cranky Kong.
Cranky, no, I know Diddy Kong.
Okay, so Cranky Kong is like the old monkey that he's there. He's old Kong, Cranky Kong.
Another goal. Fuck yeah. 3-1.
So Cranky Kong is the original Donkey Kong from the Capture the Princess, Throw the Barrel Donkey Kong game. And then the Donkey Kong that you play in Donkey Kong Country is actually Donkey Kong Jr. And I went far too long before that got explained to me, and my mind was blown because the entire time I just thought it was all the same Donkey Kong. And I think a lot of people did. So that was kind of cool that news got broken. But I'm gonna go Donkey Kong Country with that one. I think that's kind of interesting.
All right, good.
It's a very interesting question.
You gave us the elevator pitch.
Yeah, that wasn't. Shut up. That wasn't me.
But all right, we're gonna do a two-parter here.
My concise answers.
We're going to do a two-parter here. That one was from Spork, and we like the other questions so much that we're going to do that as well. From Justin Summers, making his debut here, I think, on the soft lock question. Candy corn is a controversial Halloween candy. Some love it, others hate it. What is a video game you love or hate, depending on your view of candy corn, that you don't understand why people have the opposite viewpoint on? What is your candy corn of video games? First, George, do you like candy corn?
I subscribe to the same school of thought that you do.
You need
candy corn is good in small doses.
Oh, so there we go. What game is good in small doses?
Overwatch is my answer. Overwatch is a game that I love it very much. It is a game that I have enjoyed since it came out. I have taken many a break because no game makes me madder than Overwatch. And I think that we've talked about it on the podcast before that. Because it's a team game, when people don't play as a team, you pretty much automatically lose, and it drives me insane. So yeah, that's my answer.
All right. I think I can't go Call of Duty or like any battle royale because I play the shit out of them. There's really no break that ever happens until I'm like done with them.
Well, now you're on a little bit of a break.
Oh, I'm back on Modern Warfare 2 until Warzone 2.0 comes out. Don't you worry. But
hit me up when you're in there. I'll drop it.
I'm on the Xbox. I'm on the couch. I don't have the headset or anything. I'm just chilling,
text, bro.
I'm just chilling. We'd have to jump on Discord, but that's fine.
No, we don't. Just play team deathmatch.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, I'm gonna say, as of recent, Death Stranding, because you could only walk for so much before you get sick of it and put it down and then play it again. But I'm also going to say The Last of Us because I feel like those hours you play straight of that game are so like emotionally draining that you have to take a break.
Oh, yeah. They released the poster and the teaser for it, and my anxiety shot for the show, and my anxiety shot through the roof just like thinking about playing the game. Like I'm right there with you. It's a series that I love, and I had a lot of fun playing that game. But man, it is just the most anxiety-driven game I've ever played.
I'm wondering what the clickers are going to be like. I know we saw them briefly in the commercial, but that should be cool.
I wonder if you're going to get if the theme song is going to be it's not a mandolin that he plays. The main theme of the first game. Yeah. I want that. I don't think it's a mandolin.
I wasn't really sold on Pedro Pascal at first until I heard his voice as the Joel voice, and I was like, okay, he's perfect. Yeah, still not sold on Bella Ramsey, but you, I think, and a bunch of others in the Discord told me how good she is, and I think Game of Thrones and stuff.
She's the badass.
I'll take your word for it. I know Anna Torv is pretty good, and I think she's a perfect Tess, so that should be good as well.
Very, very excited for this
Nick
show.
Offerman is in is good. So.
That'll be our spin-off podcast where we'll call it The First of Us, and we'll be the first podcast to review the Last of Us show.
Oh, you think we would be the first? But all right, great softbox. I like that. It's now time for some gaming news.
Oh, baby.
All right, your gaming news. PlayStation VR 2 is going to launch in February, but the price point is going to be $549.99. Rather get a MetaQuest at that point. But also, Sony announced they have sold 25 million PS5s. And I think the question everybody wants to know is who bought them?
I was going to say, where?
The scalpers on the street?
Where did they go?
The guy on Facebook who has 7 of them he's selling for $1,200, or who's got them? Ranked mode is coming to Modern Warfare 2 in 2023. There's going to be private lobbies. There's going to be a top 200 list. There's going to be brand new achievements and all that. So I think that's good. That's something Call of Duty has needed for a while to kind of get certain types of players off of the main lobbies and make it a little more enjoyable for the people who don't want to play competitively, because from what I'm seeing, there's a lot of Modern Warfare 2 play going on that is driving people nuts. I think Dr. Disrespect uninstalled the game live on air. Modern Warfare 2 is also the fastest selling Call of Duty game ever. It sold 600 million units opening weekend. Now the crazy thing is, if you bought the disc, I think it's something like 80 megabytes on the disc. You're just downloading it anyway. So at this point, the disc is just there to say, okay, well now let's just download the stuff you actually need from the internet, because this isn't it. And I'll tell you,
ridiculous.
I got very excited to play Modern Warfare last week. It was like 9 o'clock. I put it on to download, and it said 85 gigs or something like that.
Yep.
And I started playing NHL while that happened, which is a big killer of time and slows everything down.
Oh yeah.
It didn't finish. I left it overnight and didn't finish till like the morning because I was playing stuff with it. And this is on the good internet. Imagine I was in the apartment.
Oh man, I don't miss those days. Your quality of internet is significantly better, and I'm happy for you.
See what happens when I control it?
I'm so happy for you.
Another thing I want to touch on, Microsoft apparently loses $200 on every Xbox console sold, but they're also saying they won't increase the prices because Sony keeps raising theirs. But I think it makes up for it because you're now paying for the subscription every month, which is $17. You're now paying for all the microtransactions, the games, and whatnot. So I think they make up for it. Obviously, they're not losing money as a company, so I think it's fine for them to lose a couple bucks on the actual unit itself and make everyone happier. I mean, I couldn't have done more of a 180 on a company. I had the Xbox One for only a little bit, and I liked it. But between the Game Pass and the way they're just throwing out games left and right and like DLC for free and stuff, it's just they're making everybody super happy. I mean, the price point of the Xbox Series S alone is really good, and now I find out they're actually not even making money on it. They just want people to have their stuff. I don't know. Kudos to them.
That's my Black Friday buy. that's pretty much what I'm looking to get. And honestly, when I tell you why I want to get a new console, you've talked so much about playing NHL, and I'm like, man, I haven't played an NHL game in a long time.
And if you have the Game Pass, you get last year's NHL for free.
So that's my plan.
Yeah,
I want to get it so I can play the UFC games and NHL.
Those are all in the Game Pass free.
Yeah, you got to do EA Play though, right? It's not Xbox. You got to do Xbox and EA Play.
No,
right?
EA Play is with the Game Pass. It's not separate.
Oh, I thought it was only
That's
if you
PlayStation.
did the gold.
I don't know. I
thought it was like you had to do it was like a different tier of the Xbox thing. I could be wrong. I mean, you would know better than I do because
I have whatever tier it is. I don't even know. Ultimate, because I play on the PC and on the console, and it has literally everything.
Okay, yeah. So I think that's what I thought, is that there's two tiers. There's the regular tier, and that's just the Xbox games, and then the Ultimate gives you EA Play and the regular.
Yeah. Well, the EA Play alone is worth it because new releases you get the 10% off, and you get them I think 10 days early or something like that. So
and then I can play the Woohoo game like you do.
Yeah, exactly. All right, games releasing this week. You get Soulstone Survivor and The Unliving on November 7th. On the 8th, you get A Little to the Left and Football Manager with Sonic Frontiers. This is a big one people are excited for this year. Now, when you want to talk about games, God of War Ragnarok comes out on November 9th, and it has received 10 out of 10s across the board. City Bus Manager, Dying Light 2, Fabular Once Upon a Spacetime, Lunistis Police Simulator, Shadow of the Guild, Steel Rising, Cagliostro's Secrets DLC, Hidden Through the Time, Tactic Ogre, and Valkyrie Elysium, which I've seen on here a bunch of times. I guess different consoles.
But let's talk about this. We mentioned John playing the Woohoo game, but what else have you actually been playing? I feel like you and I have the same answer. First and foremost is we've both been dipping our toes into Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, that's really it this week. Everyone makes fun of my backlog of games, but we also have to play a game for this every week. So
yes, this has pretty much become my weekly gaming time.
Fulfills
what?
Fulfills the need.
I mean,
to play a game.
It's something. Yeah, it's better than me just not having the time to even do this. So this becomes man, I can't wait until we play a bad game, and then we're just like, I had only 2 hours to play a video game, and I played this dog shit. Why did I do this? But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But I've tried to play some Overwatch 2 because that also is a game, like I said, that I have a love-hate relationship with, and Modern Warfare 2. And are you're just Modern Warfare?
Yeah,
and whatever
much.
We play.
Obviously, some NHL in there also because I don't know. I play at night. Everyone's asleep, and I have the console on the TV. I don't play on the PC, so it's easy to just do it.
Cool.
That's it.
All right. Guys, youtube.com/GameMarksPodcast for all of our weekly playthrough videos, exclusive content, and a whole lot more. And guys, guess what? You can also now just look us up on YouTube, just at GameMarksPod. You can do that now. Also, patreon.com/GameMarksPod. John, what is going on Patreon this week?
All right, every Friday you are getting the episode ad-free early with the show notes. You can submit your softlock questions by Thursday. I really like this week's, and keep them up. Keep them coming.
Great.
These are good.
So good.
Next week, we are playing Legends of Wrestling 2 on Future Endeavor. That's coming out tomorrow night, I believe, so that should be a fun one. If you're listening on Monday, that is.
Hell yeah.
But George, what are we playing next week? Let's keep this ball rolling on the track.
Well, speaking of keeping the ball rolling, I hope that this is not a game that you and I are going to Future Endeavor, because we are going all the way back to the original NES, and we are playing WWF WrestleMania for the NES. And I believe by playing this game, we close out all of the WWF games for the NES. And I think that it may even be with, we have one more. I would say, with the exception of WrestleMania 2000 for the Game Boy, it's the second to last WrestleMania game.
Okay.
Think of the lineage of all of the WrestleMania games.
We'll play that one around WrestleMania time, I guess.
Yep. All right. But I think that's it, man. Are we putting a bow on it?
Put that bow.
All right. Well, GameMarksPod.com/shop for all of our exclusive merchandise. ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod for all of our new shirt designs. And Patreon.com/GameMarksPod for all of the cool stuff you just heard John talk about at GameMarksPod on all forms of social media. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and leave us a 5-star review on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you have a product or service that you would like us to advertise on this podcast, please reach out to us at GameMarksPod@gmail.com. And guys, do not forget Gameboree, GameMarksPod.com/donate. It's the best time of year. Johnny Clash,
Do it.
do that thing.
Game over. Marks.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future Endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.